Another of the nascent abstract expressionists, succinctly expressed the tenor of thinking in the New York art community during those years of peril, pointing out in 1942 that artists have always been seen as a culture's image makers, but different times require different images. Most jarring, however, is stenographic figure's clown-like head with its protuberant bulbous nose, which seems to pop up like a jack-in-the-box in front of the rest of the body. At first, this head does give the picture an appalling crudity. Pollock's decision, if it was his, to retitle this work Stenographic Figure, when he had at first simply called it Painting, must have been prompted by a desire to emphasize its second stratum of imagery, a scattering of calligraphic signs and symbols seen to randomly overlap the background as well as the figure. Some parts of the picture, indeed, look like loosened-up sections of Pollock's exquisite corpse-influenced drawings. Search for a symbol. Mathematical equations, tic-tac-toe graphs, and other notations similar to those found in Thompson's On Growth and Form are also rapidly inscribed all over the surface, in some places destroying the image's overall readability. One of the most important issues Pollock seemingly attacked head-on was his continuing quest to differentiate and integrate the masculine and feminine sides of his personality, and the painting eventually chosen to illustrate his first exhibition brochure focused on this theme, setting the keynote for the rest of contemporaneous work. Probably titled after Pollock's favorite surrealist game, this canvas, Male and Female, displays two upright totemic figures, iconically disposed against a lighter, still bluish background. Because of its flirty eyelashes and curvaceous red upper torso, the left figure seems to represent the female principle. The right figure is much more ambiguous, with less defined anatomical features. Is the vertical blackboard part of the body? These three pictures, the Moon Woman, the Mad Moon Woman, the Moon Woman Cuts the Circle, seem to form a small series because of their single subject. Krasner acknowledged that the moon had a tremendous effect on Jackson. He spoke about it often, not only to her, but to de Laszlo as well, and it was easy for de Laszlo to interpret this fixation as arising out of the strongly bipolar elements in Pollock's nature. Jackson Pollock made possible reference to Herman Melville's Moby Dick at least twice more, once some years later in the naming of a pet, and also perhaps in the tithing of a gouache and ink composition painted around the same time as Pasiphae. Pollock's blue, Moby Dick, composed primarily of Miro-esque biomorphic shapes, is in its lower half more strongly visually suggestive than Pasiphae of an actual sea theme. The way Pollock organized his forms in this small mixed-media work approximates the rhythms of the roiling ocean depths. Fish and what appear to be lower marine forms toss about on the waves, although no discernible white whale is anywhere in sight. There do not seem to be any obvious pictorial or thematic parallels between Blue, Moby Dick, and Pasiphae. The central slab in Guardians of the Secret is the most interesting part of the painting. It appears to represent the front or top face of an altar or casket tipped forward into the viewer's space. Pollock covered this area with hieroglyphic symbols suggestive of ancient civilizations, indicating that herein must be contained the restricted message of the title, one intended only for the eyes of those whom its protectors will let pass. To suggest that this indeed is the secret on the white rectangle, Pollock combined arcane-looking sigils with a few more easily readable images, including the well-defined outline of a fish. If you turn the rectangle upside down, at least two stick figures emerge. Joined together in rebus-like fashion, this mixture of semiotic markings sits on top of a loosely brushed surface with many visible underlayers of differently colored paint. The Night Dancer, Night Ceremony, Night Mist, and Night Magic, included in Pollock's second one-man show, were all canvases with comparably dark backgrounds, and in them Pollock employed extensive graffito techniques, scratching into the surface, as well as other unorthodox methods of direct painting. A fifth canvas on this theme, Night Sounds, was completed around the same time, but not exhibited until 1958. In Night Sounds, Pollock resurrected the lopsided Eskimo mask used a number of times before, combining it with another favored shape, the crescent moon. Also reprising a device introduced in Male and Female, Pollock treated a portion of the canvas of Night Sounds as if it were a chalkboard, sketching on it what looks like a rudimentary version of the lower half of Bird. In addition to the Night series, included in Pollock's 1945 exhibition were two paintings again involving the theme of the Indian totem. Designating these canvases as totem lessons, Pollock in them once more set out to explore aspects of his continuing interest in Native American shamanism, possibly refocused by the Amerindian issue of Dine magazine. Stylistically, Pollock's totem lesson paintings continued his recent tendency, conspicuous in the Night series pictures, toward a more diffuse pictorial organization with less symmetry and less recognizable images.